All right, you guys, welcome to episode 2 of my live podcast series, The Brief with Brandon Doggett. So, I wanted to get started in today's episode discussing how I reacted to my cancellation. Well, what I consider to be my cancellation. So, over the weekend, this past weekend, I essentially got canceled, at least in my eyes, when I said that the Epstein files contained pornography, and I reacted on my show on Monday, basically saying that that was all wrong, which it is. Of course, I believe it's wrong. I don't think it's right, of course, but people called me a quote pedophile and some other oblivious names, which I'm not even going to get into that because you can rewatch last week's episode on that. But I wanted to discuss today how I reacted to that, plus Nancy Guthrie's disappearance and Kamala Harris's new Instagram and Twitter and her new social media rebrand. So let's get into today's episode. Firstly, I just want to say that I'm humble enough to know and to admit when I was wrong. And I think I took it too personally. All right, you guys. I think I took that cancellation or what I perceived to be a cancellation too personally. I don't think that really it matters in the grand scheme of things. Of course, it is only a couple people on Instagram threads calling me a pedophile, which I know in my heart is not true. So I wanted to say that calling me a pedophile actually invalidates the victims here, the real victims of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse and potentially other people and their involvement with his horrific actions. I think that calling me someone who's a reporter a pedophile, I think really just invalidates the actual victims and what they went through. And so I wanted to get that out of the way and clear the air on that one. Also, with this show, what do we expect? What do you expect from me from this show? So it's going to be a live show, mostly every weekday, unless I say otherwise, in which I'll be going over the news and kind of just going over current stories and then providing certain commentary on what's happening in the world today. And so that's kind of the format of the show here. What is going on in the world of politics, and what is my sort of commentary on that? What do I see as important, and then like what is going on? So probably the biggest story of the week, actually the entire week, has been Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. So Nancy Guthrie is the mother of the Today Show host, which is an NBC show, Savannah Guthrie, and I believe it was on Monday she disappeared. And so we're going to be looking into that and kind of, is there incompetency within these law enforcement organizations? Are they not doing their job the best that they could be, or even doing their job at all? And so, listen, Nancy Guthrie, she's been missing for 5 days. This is a picture of her and Savannah here. Nancy is on the in the blue, and Savannah is in the orange there. And so she's the mother of that Today Show host, Savannah Guthrie. And so she's been missing for 5 days. She left, or sorry, she didn't leave. She actually was supposedly kidnapped from her Tucson, Arizona home just 5 days ago. And there has been some alleged ransom notes which have been received from organizations like TMZ, which is the national one, and then some local organizations. So uh, KOLD and KGUN received ransom notes. Now, apparently, one of those ransom notes actually expires today at 5 p.m. I think it's Mountain Time where Arizona is, but it might be Pacific Time. Either way, within the next 2 to 3 hours, that ransom note will expire. But something important here, actually, with the ransom notes, I want to discuss with you guys. Look at this. Oops. That's the wrong image. Look at this press release here from the Department of Justice. So it says California man charged with transmitting a demand for ransom. On Thursday, February 5th, 2026, the FBI arrested Derek Kalea. I think I said that right, in Hawthorne, California. He has been charged via a criminal complaint filed in a federal court for transmitting a demand for ransom in interstate commerce and without disclosing his identity, utilizing a telecommunications device with the intent to abuse, threaten, or harass a person. And this is a quote from the Department of Justice here. Actually, let me expand the size of this so you guys can read it in its entirety. You might not be able to see my face, but hopefully you'll be able to read this entire document here, or this press release from the Department of Justice. So that second paragraph says, the Department of Justice will protect victims and families at all costs, and grief profiteers will be held accountable, said U.S. Attorney Timothy Corshane. This case came together in under 24 hours because of the coordinated work of the FBI, local law enforcement, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Central District of California. To those imposters who are trying to take advantage and profit from this situation, we will investigate and ensure you are held accountable for your actions, said FBI's Phoenix Special Agent in Charge, Heath Jenke. Per policy, the FBI does not release booking photos. A criminal complaint is simply a method by which a person is charged with criminal activity and raises no interference of guilt. An individual is presumed innocent until evidence is presented to a jury that establishes guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. All right, you guys, so let's discuss this. So, this is actually in relation to the ransom note that was received by TMZ, KOLD, and KGUN, which are both Tucson local stations, CBS and CNN affiliates, as well as TMZ, which is the national news organization. And so they received this ransom note, and apparently this was actually a man in California who sent this ransom note. He has no ties to the kidnapping of Nancy Guthrie, and like I said, it charges him with 2 counts related to the threat. It did not name the Guthries, but used initials when describing their interaction. So that would be within that complaint, the actual law complaint, which I didn't read you guys the full law complaint. I actually just read you guys the press release from the Department of Justice. And so this comes after the family posted this really sad and tearful video on the Instagram of Savannah Guthrie. It was the 3 children of Nancy Guthrie, including Savannah. And they were basically saying, like, listen, we're ready to talk. We want to talk, and we want our mother alive. We want proof of life. But actually, in terms of proof of life, none has been provided. So apparently, the FBI and the local law enforcement have not reached out to, or if they have reached out, they haven't heard back from the alleged ransom notes. So if they have not reached out, that shows incompetency because these ransom notes were received 2 days ago, and yet there has apparently, allegedly, been no follow-up on those ransom notes. What happened? What happened to those ransom notes? Did the FBI ever follow up on them? Or did local or state law enforcement ever follow up on that? That's something we need to know. And since there was no follow-up, that means there's no proof of life. So they said that in a press conference today that no proof of life has been provided, which is really unfortunate. Just an awful situation we have going on here with the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, or, the kidnapping, really, the abduction. And so KOLD anchor Mary Coleman, who spoke to CNN, said that the note contained quotes, and I'm quoting her now, very sensitive information and things that people who weren't there when she was taken captive wouldn't know, unquote. So what happened, really? We really have no idea what happened in this awful case down in Arizona today. Sorry, in these just past couple days, really. We have no idea what happened. And it's truly awful. And it's something, it's like, if this person, I'm blanking on his name now, Derek Kalia, if he sent the ransom note, how did he know that information was maybe his ransom note didn't contain that specific sensitive information? Did it? Is he related at all to the captors of Nancy Guthrie? We will just have no idea until we get a full investigative report on that matter. Now, I also want to bring up President Trump's statement on this, which you can see here. I'm going to move it over to the center of your screen here. He says, in quotes, "I spoke with Savannah Guthrie and let her know that I am directing all federal law enforcement to be at the family's and local law enforcement's complete disposal immediately. We are deploying all resources to get her mother home safely. The prayers of our nation are with her and her family. God bless and protect Nancy, President Donald J. Trump. So that is just a statement coming from President Trump. I believe that was either early this morning or last night, late last night. And so, of course, here at Brandon Doggett Network, we are very saddened, or I guess I am very saddened. I'm the only one that works at this place. But here at Brandon Doggett Network, I'm very saddened by the abduction of Nancy Guthrie, and I'm hoping for her safe return. So, moving on to other news, you guys, maybe on a little bit of a lighter note, Kamala HQ. Do you remember that account? The last post they made actually was in November of 2024. And that post that was in 2024 was a thank you all for supporting us on this journey. Although we lost, we love you guys. Basically, that's what the post was. Well, today, actually, Kamala has rebranded, or at least that account has been rebranded to headquarters. Now, on Twitter, that account is actually, oops, as you can see here on Twitter or on X, that account is actually headquarters_67. And in the bio, it says, Elon wouldn't give us at headquarters. Little jab at Elon Musk there, who owns X, of course. So I want you guys to look at this video. This is the announcement of the rebrand from Kamala Harris. Give me a second to pull that up here.
Madam Vice President, what's going on with Kamala HQ?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. I have good news. So Kamala HQ is turning into headquarters, and it's where you can go online to get basically the latest of what's going on, and also to meet and revisit with some of our great, courageous leaders, be they elected leaders, community leaders, civic leaders, faith leaders, young leaders. I'm really excited about it. So stay engaged, and I'll see you out there. Thank you.
Madam Vice President.
Sorry, just had to unmute myself there. But that was the latest from Kamala HQ, or now headquarters_67. Listen, I have some opinions which I will keep to myself here. I think they're trying. I think they are trying a lot to sort of bring back the amount of attention and the virality that they had in the 2024 election after Charlie XCX tweeted, quote, Kamala is brat. Of course, that got like 80 million views on X and just went skyrocketing viral. After that, Kamala HQ rebranded their Twitter or X page to sort of correlate with the Charlie XCX brat symbolism, or I guess sort of the I don't know how to describe it. Maybe the font, basically the color scheme, just the branding of brat. And so that happened in 2024. And so we're monitoring, of course, what's going on here, what exactly Kamala Harris is doing with this. Is she running for president in 2028, or is she running for the Democratic primary? That's something that we actually just don't know. If y'all recall, she decided last summer to not run for the governor in the state of California, which was highly speculated. Of course, she was speculated to run for governor, which that further increased the speculation that she was going to run for president in 2028, and she did not. She did not run for governor. So, who knows? We might see her in the primary race again. This would be her second time in the Democratic primary. She, if you don't remember, she lost to, of course, Joe Biden, and then became, his vice presidential candidate. So it's something that we're looking at. I think it's very interesting kind of what they're doing here. They're saying it's like to grab in like new leaders or new like engagements, I guess, get a bunch of people engaged in this. So I guess, yeah, it's something that we're looking at. It did go viral on Twitter and in the the X space, I should say, and on TikTok, of course. That's where actually originally I saw this clip. So it's something that we're looking at, of course, but I think that's all that I have for today. It's been kind of short. I kind of put this together while I was on an airplane. It's only been about 15-minute stream, but I want to thank you guys for joining me. And remember, you can catch me every weekday. I will be doing a stream. I'm still figuring out how the technology works. So if there's any issues with the technology, please let me know, because I'm I'm new to this. Also, I'm doing this all on my own. I don't really have any um I don't have any knowledge. I'm doing this by myself, and so it is something I enjoy, of course. But thank you guys for joining me, and I will catch you guys tomorrow.